Housing. We love to talk about housing, don't we? The latest quotable value figures out this morning show most housing markets have plateaued, but the capital, Wellington, is still showing some signs of growth. The average value for a house in the Wellington region has just topped $600,000. Still a long way, though, off the average price in Auckland, which has held steady at just over $1 million. Can you believe that in Auckland? And looking at the whole country, the national average is sitting at just over $630,000. Lots of little stories right across these numbers. So is the housing market finally cooling off? What's been happening? Joining me now is QV, Home Value General Manager David Nagel. David, great to have you on the program. I think the stats today show that the story is in the regions, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. We've seen some phenomenal growth over the last 12 months in the region, and that's certainly following behind what's happened in Auckland over previous years.
So what regions are doing well? We're talking Wellington, obviously. We mentioned Wellington, but Hastings and Queenstown and Whangarei, Rotorua, they're all doing well, aren't they?
They're all doing well after a long period of stagnation, and this growth that we've seen over the last 12 to 18 months has really come after a period of about 7 or 8 years of very little happening since the recession in prices in 2007 after the GFC.
OK. What's been happening in the last 3 months? Because if you look at the last 3 months, I couldn't find growth anywhere. Has it completely flatlined, has it?
It really has. Over the last 3 months, the average value of a residential property in New Zealand has increased by exactly 0.0%.
Right, so what's behind that? I mean, is that right around the country? There's no blips, there's no growth?
Oh, there's still pockets, and as you say, Wellington is still standing out from the crowd. There's still some growth in Wellington, but even the Wellington market is now showing signs of a cooling down in the market.
Right. And when you look at the regional growth in some of those areas, of 20+%, then you compare it to Auckland. I think Auckland for the last year has been about 10%. What's happened in Auckland?
Well, I think, as you said in your introduction, that the prices at Auckland are getting so high, and the LVR speed limits that have been imposed by the Reserve Bank are starting to take effect. There's a lot of investors that are very active in the Auckland market, simply because the first homeowners can't get a look in because of the outlay required to buy a property in Auckland.
When you look at these numbers, and David, we're talking about this flatlining over the last 3 months. Is the collapse on the cards? I mean, you do see some of the sceptics, if you like, and some of the doomsayers talking about this collapse. I don't see a collapse in these numbers. I see a flattening out. What's your take?
No, I don't see any doomsday talk either. It's certainly the market is the signs are still very strong. Confidence is still very high. It's taken a very small decline in the last quarter, but it's still very high relative to previous quarters. And the other signals, as you mentioned, with net migration figures still being at record highs, they have to live somewhere, and the expats returning home, they have to live somewhere too. And the cost of money is still very cheap when you can get a fixed mortgage for less than 5%. Yeah, so the signs are still very positive.
That's a really good point. Hey, good on, David. Appreciate your time on the program. David Nagel, QV Home Value.